on this computer. Perfect. All right. Hey, everyone. This is Brian here from Massey's Main Entertainment. And we are back here for the second half of our round of 16 70s music tournament. We're doing this in honor of March Madness, and we've put together this NCAA style tournament bracket of 64 of the best albums of the 1970s. And our job is to decide which album truly is the champion of the 70s. Joining me are my good friends and colleagues, Rich, the master of the live streams. Good job the other day, Rich. We actually got a lot of views on that video, considering it was kind of put together last minute. You know,
that was an ad libber too, because we started out with a live stream, and I forgot to hit going live, and we had to make a video out of it. It was very bizarre.
Pretty awesome. And Randy, the most faithful of Stones fans, he's a little disappointed after last time. Doc, who couldn't believe all the metal albums, got the shaft in the last round.
Just craved.
And like I said before, off camera, that our eye candy of the group, Sam St. John, is here as well. So appreciate all you guys being here. Trust me. I'm going to put a link to everybody's channel down below, like I did in the last video. Be sure to check their stuff out. Lots of great stuff up there, especially Sam. Sam does a lot of acoustical stuff and music himself. So it's really nice to watch his channel. So this is how it's going to break down. We're currently in this opening round of 64. In this video, we're going to be covering the East and the South brackets. I'm going to introduce each matchup and do a little plug for them. And then we're simply going to vote. And since there are 5 of us, 3 votes, and the album will move forward. We're going to rotate who votes last in each matchup, giving some extra power to that particular member in that case, and a little bit of pressure as well. I encourage members to chime in and why they voted the way they did, especially if they happen to stand alone. And I'm also going to encourage you people out there to please go ahead and fill out your bracket about who you would advance in this too. I'm always interested in that. We've had a couple of people chime in that way, and a couple surprises there as well. We had one gentleman not even vote for Led Zepp 4. That was kind of cool. Yeah. Please keep in mind that we don't have all the albums that everybody would like. When I initially started this, I went for a variety of styles and genres, and I pulled it from a bunch of different publications. Also, please note that we left the Beatles solo material off, mostly because it becomes this endless debate about which one of those albums should go further than another one of those albums. And I wanted to steer away from that banter. So, gentlemen, anything to add before we get started?
This is a tighter bracket for me. I actually, just before this video, I made a couple of final circles on my bracket because I've left them blank all week, and I was looking at it and I said, I've got to pick one. And they're both in the lower bracket. So
wow,
there were a lot of tight ones here. A lot of my favorite albums.
Yeah,
no question. I found the same thing. There's 4 or 5 of them that could go either way, and we have to make a choice. So that's part of the fun.
That's right.
I respect that, making those choices there that you did, Sam, because I'll be making 2 choices when it comes to my turn. So I'll tell you right now. So I have really tough choices on some of these, man. So
yeah,
we'll get down to it. So yeah, I had the same debates you guys did.
Yeah, Randy, got something to say here?
I just think that bottom bracket might be the strongest bracket of the whole tournament. And that's going to be tough.
Yeah, I don't think that was done intentionally. When I was filling them out, after you assigned seeds, it just I tried to balance it out to where artists weren't running into each other that were, the same artist. And I was just going for interesting matchups as well. So let's get started here. We're going to start off with the East, and we're going to go right to the top of the bracket and go on and move our way down. First up in the East, and the number 1 seed there and the number 2 overall seed, I've got Fleetwood Mac, the iconic Rumours, a supreme crafted gem from start to finish. And they're stepping into the arena with a band Doc should be giddy about, or rather getty about, Rush, and they're number 16 seeded 21-12. Sam, you get to go first, my man. This is all on you. Get it started.
Well, this is tough. Again, like I said, the whole bracket was a bunch of coin flips. This, to me, was a no-brainer. It's Rumours. I mean, it's one of those albums it's over a 9 in terms of the rating I would give it out of 10. I even like, songs like I Don't Want to Know, and I like, Songbird and Oh Daddy. I know some people give Oh Daddy a hard time. Never Going Back Again. that's probably a top 50 song of all time for me. I know Rich and I did a video on it last year at some point, and that was my number one. It's always been my number one since I first heard it back in college. And yeah, Rumours, just without question. I like Rush. I respect him. I don't mind Geddy Lee singing, but yeah, no question here.
Yeah. I go second here, so I'm going to mirror Sam's vote here. It's awful hard I feel bad for 2112 because it is actually a very good album. I don't have a lot of appreciation for prog as an overall genre as maybe I should. But 2112, is right up there in my mind with, like Close to the Edge and In the Court of the Crimson King when it comes to concept, progressive rock. So unfortunately, it's just happened going up against Rumours. So Rumours is going to get my vote as well. So Doc, what do you say, my man? Sorry.
Well, yeah, that's probably what we should say, because obviously I think I know the song in full, but to give 2112 that shutout from Rush there, I think it's going up against Rumours. It's going up against one of the best albums of all time. So that being said, it is progressive rock from Rush. It is 2112. It's a groundbreaking album, man. They were not going to have a studio contract, and they just said, "Screw it, we're going to make this album. You guys like it or don't like it, we're running the business. I don't care." They made what they wanted. They got a 20-minute song to start their album. It's going to be like, here you go. Different segments, and it's all, this is highly ranked in the progressive neighborhood of rock, man. Like number 2 progressive rock albums of all time on some charts. So, like I said, it's going against Rumours, one of the best albums of all time. My favorite tune on that album, it's either The Chain or You Make Love and Fun for me, man. And I love a lot of songs on this album, but Rumours is an all-timer, man. We're talking top 10 here of all time kind of thing for me. So I got to go Rumours, man.
Okay. All right. Randy?
Yeah, I'm going to have to do that too. It's the second album since Buckingham and Nicks joined the group, and this was where they're hitting on all cylinders. It was artistically and commercially successful, and it's hard to argue against Rumours, and I got to pick it.
Yeah. Rich?
Yeah, I'll complete the sweep. I mean, with all due respect to our Canadian friends and Rush fans, I've just never been on the bandwagon, but that's me. I don't want to disrespect it, but Rumours is in the stratosphere, so I'm taking Rumours. I'm with Doc. The Chain is my favorite song off that album, so it's an easy win for me.
Okay. All right. So 5-0, Rumours is going to move on. That seems that fits the pattern for the number 1 seeds. Heading down to the next matchup, we got in this top half of the East, we have the energetic and passionate Offering from Meatloaf, and he holds the number 8 seeded album Bat Out of Hell, and they get to do battle with, he gets to do battle with the last studio album from the Fab Four as a collective. I've got the Beatles' Let It Be with the number 9 seed. Rich, you get to go first on this one. How do you feel?
I feel like it's got to be Let It Be for me. That's how I feel. I mean, Beatles' swan song, even though they recorded it prior to Abbey Road, right? But still, it's the last thing they gave us as a group on record chronologically. So, and it's good. It's not just a novelty fact that it's the last album, but it's got Across the Universe, The Two of Us, the title track, Let It Be, I've Got a Feeling, Long and Winding Road, Get Back, of course. It's got a couple of duds on there for me, but I'm not going to accentuate the negative. I'm going to pick Let It Be.
Okay. Sam?
Yeah, I mean, Let It Be for me. It has my second favorite Beatles song on it, which is I've Got a Feeling. I absolutely love that song, and it took off another level when I saw McCartney do it a couple of years ago with with John Lennon up on the screen as a duet. But I love One After 909 on it. I love Across the Universe. I think Two of Us is in my top 10 favorite Beatles songs. And so on that alone, I mean, it's in a place of its own. But then you have the big hits. You have Get Back, Let It Be, Long and Winding Road. It's a really, really solid album. Even though it's been panned for years and years and years, but yeah, for me, it's just no question. I like Meatloaf's singing too, but it's not for me.
Yeah. Okay. For me, I guess this was really, really, really close. I mean, like, because I look at it like this. I mean, Let It Be maybe, you know, one of the weaker of their studio albums, but we're talking about the Beatles here. I mean, so it's like a weak Beatles album is infinitely better than a lot of people's magnum opus that they'll ever put out in their career. So we have to look at objectively like that. Still, track for track, I'm going to give the slight edge to Bat Out of Hell on this one, only because, and recently because I've done a deeper dive into it and with Doc specifically, and I looked at the album again. If it has a downside, is that he put out Bat Out of Hell 2. I probably would be the downside to the album. They should have never touched it. But I like it. I enjoy the tracks on there. It's got this great conceptual vibe to it, you know, but at the same time, the tracks can stand alone on their own. And what a powerful voice. I mean, it's great. So I'm gonna give the slight edge to Bat Out of Hell. I do like Let It Be. It's not my favorite Beatles album. It's still strong, but Bat Out of Hell. So, Doc?
This looks like we're going to leave this one up to Randy because I got Bat Out of Hell. I feel the same way. Rich, you put it pretty good there when you talked about Let It Be. You know, the hits are the hits, and yeah, there's some great songs on there. Don't get me wrong, it's a swan song for the Beatles, and we're talking about the Beatles here, man. So, you know, it's the only time I think they show up in our whole thing in our 64. Yeah. I'm not giving them love that the Beatles probably deserve as a group in one sense, but to me, it's just those ones that miss on the album make the difference between that and Bat Out of Hell. I think Bat Out of Hell does not have a bad song on that album, man. I think it's a playthrough easy for me. I think it's sold 45 million copies, the 6th best selling of all time for a reason. And I think it's a booming album, man. So, like, it's the Beatles, I get it. But I just think in this case, just the Bat Out of Hell album by itself is going to take this one. All
right. Randy. Nice and early, buddy.
Yeah, Let It Be. It's getting a lot of pub less recently because of the Peter Jackson documentary. Right. I do think it has a couple weak songs on there, but it is the Beatles going against kind of these theatrical, over-the-top, kind of schmaltzy Bat Out of Hell. But that's what makes it great, doing those Jim Steinman songs. And I'm going with Bat Out of Hell. And I'm
no. My goodness, the Beatles are out.
Wow. Man.
Woo!
We were down 0-2.
That's a great hot take. I love it. Awesome. I love it. I know the comments are going to be flying on that one now. It's great.
Well, Randy's losing subscribers from Rich and I. We're going on right now.
I got one comment. Sam and I have no blood on our hands on this baby right here.
Do our own bracket, Rich.
Oh,
we're kidding. We're kidding.
All right. Well, let's move down to the next one here. We're going to talk about apples and oranges here. This next one, the next matchup hits the beautiful and quaint album "Bridge Over Troubled Water" by Simon and Garfunkel. They hold on to the number 4 seed. It's going to go up against the powerhouse number 13 seeded album, the blues rock gem Jailbreak by Thin Lizzy. And Randy, you get first say on this one.
Well, this is a tough one because it might be my favorite Thin Lizzy album. Maybe Fighting is my favorite, but Bridge Over Troubled Water is the Simon and Garfunkel's best album, and just so many great tunes. The title track, The Boxer, Cecilia, The Only Living Boy in New York. But just Art Garfunkel singing on Bridge Over Troubled Water, it's hard to have anything better than that. And I'm picking Bridge Over Troubled Water.
Right. Rich?
Same thing. I like Jailbreak. I'm not going to disparage it because it is a pretty darn good album for the 76 it came out, I believe. For that time, it rocks. But Bridge Over Troubled Water, man, that song, The Boxer alone, would probably win it. And then you got the deeper cuts on here. I love El Condor Pasa as well, but I have to go with Bridge Over Troubled Water. Paul Simon, kudos to him, great songwriter, and Art Garfunkel's voice was never better. So easy win for me.
Okay, Sam.
Yeah, no question. Simon and Garfunkel, for me. It's right up my alley. I mean, there's people that know me. I love the 70s songwriter stuff, even though this album was really recorded in 69. But I mean, it's what a great swan song. I mean, again, Rich and Randy were talking about the hits, but I mean, really, like, I've really loved the song So Long, Frank Lloyd Wright. That's recently become a big favorite for me. I remember The Only Living Boy in New York and The Boxer were both early guitar songs for me when I was learning guitar. I even the Baby Driver. I think that's a fun song.
Yeah.
I love the guitar, acoustic guitar, and how Simon bends the strings. So yeah, I mean, no question for me.
Okay. All right. It's no question for me either, guys. I mean, I just was talking off camera that I just ordered the Thin Lizzy album because it's the only album in this 64 group that I didn't possess, but I ordered it for myself. But it's awful hard to beat Bridge Over Troubled Water. I mean, there's just way too many hits on there. The Boxer just sounds so good. The harmony in that and the guitar work is just really so nice in that. I can't vote against that album. There's no way. We're one of the best albums of all time. So I'll go with Bridge Over Troubled Water as well. Doc, you got the final say?
No, I really want to give Thin a vote. I really do. This is one of my last ones that I did before I get to the I'm gonna wing it here kind of thing. So, but to all your points, The Only Living Boy in New York is probably the best tune on that album for me. I love that song. And let's face it, there's a lot of great songs behind it on the Simon & Garfunkel, man. It's, I got Jailbreak, I got, Cowboy Song, which I think is fantastic. And The Boys Are Back in Town. There's some catchy things, man. There's some really good stuff on that Thin Lizzy. It's just, I think Bridge Over Troubled Water with the title track and the poetry, the worldly sounds. There's a whole bunch of great things about this album. That's kind of like top tier kind of stuff. So I got to go there too as well.
Okay. All right. Bridge with the sweep here with the at a number 4 seed. A little bit of a surprise that it was a sweep, but hey, that's why we're doing this. We'll move down to the next matchup. This is one of my favorite matchups overall, as I've got my favorite Led Zeppelin album, actually. I got Physical Graffiti holding the number 5 seed, powerfully majestic double album, and it gets to do battle with one of the most iconic rock albums of all time, the hard blues rock Toys in the Attic by Aerosmith. An Atlas really here at the 12 as a 12 seed. It's just a very interesting matchup in a lot of ways. So, Doc, you get first crack here.
Yeah, thanks a lot, buddy. Again, you're just messing with my who put these brackets together, man. I gotta have Doc with that guy. Physical Graffiti versus Toys in the Attic. Toys in the Attic. Aerosmith in the 70s. I think you guys all know how I feel. They're a top tier rock band in the 70s, man. This blues rock, American rock sound that they bring to it. Yeah, they were doing everything under the sun to get to that sound and everything else, but they had a 5 record run there, man. It was just great bluesy rock songs, man. That's all I can tell you. Toys in the Attic is the pinnacle for that for me from Aerosmith. But you're going up against Physical Graffiti here on the other side, right? You got Kashmir, you got I don't have this as my favorite Zeppelin. I'm more the 4 neighborhood for me, and maybe even 1 and 2 might have a little bit more love if you want the truth. So it gets a lot of love, and there's some really good stuff in there. And Physical Graffiti is a great one, but I'm going Toys, man. I'm going to take Toys as coming out of the gate here because I just think it's there's not one of my favorite Aerosmith songs, man. No More is on there too. Outside Sweet Emotion and Walk This Way and Toys in the Attic. Love it.
All right, Randy, what do you think?
Well, for me, I'm not as big a Aerosmith fan as apparently Doc is, and I mean, a big Led Zeppelin fan, and you get double Led Zeppelin here. You get 2 albums worth. Yeah. So I'm going to have to go with Physical Graffiti. I love Kashmir and My Time of Dying, Trampled Underfoot. I love Boogie with Stu too. But yeah, I'm going to have to go with Physical Graffiti.
Okay. All right. Split so far. Rich?
Yeah, I like Toys in the Attic, and I like 70s Aerosmith better than 80s and 90s Aerosmith, but Led Zeppelin, man, can't go against them. A double album. It's not my favorite of theirs. I like 4, 2, Houses of the Holy, and the first album better, but still, Led Zeppelin in the 70s, killing me. I like the song Houses of the Holy, which ironically is on this album.
Right.
Kashmir, Trampled Underfoot. Randy mentioned, I like In the Light, Down by the Seaside, 10 Years Gone. It's packed.
Yeah.
So I'm taking Physical Graffiti.
All right. Sam?
Yeah, I'm going to follow that trend. I do like Aerosmith more than a lot of people do, believe it or not. I mean, that for me, growing up on classic rock radio, I mean, I was hearing Sweet Emotion and Walk This Way all the time. with 13, 14-year-old Sam first getting into music. And the title track was one that I found later on in life because that wasn't one that you played on the radio as much. But again, like Randy and Rich said, this is not my favorite Zeppelin album by any means. I prefer Zeppelin 1's my favorite. I like 1 and 2 and 4 and House of the Holy all better than Physical Graffiti. But I love their version of it, In My Time of Dying, the old blues song. Kashmir, again, one of those early rock songs that I heard on the radio. I like Boogie with Stu as well. So again, I'm not one that's crazy about double albums as a rule, but yeah, between the two, I've got to go with Robert Plant and the boys.
Yeah, I'm gonna complete us here and say it's Physical Graffiti for me too. 10 years gone, I think, is like that unsung song that when people mention songs by Led Zeppelin, they don't mention this song for some reason. And that and Rain Song, for some reason, like on another album, that it never gets mentioned. And I just think it's such a tremendous song. And you guys mentioned all the other tracks, and it's like Randy said, it's a double album. You get like a big twofer there, so it's kind of great. I noticed too, like recently, the Trample Underfoot, somebody stole the riff from that, and I was trying to remember who it was, and I'll think of it, and we'll mention it in another video down the line. But Physical Graffiti is going to move on then by a score of 4-1. So we're going to move on down to the number 3 seed here, and let's see what we got going on. Yeah, this one is a little different for sure. We have the Magnum Force double album from Stevie Wonder. Told you we were going to see this guy again with the number 3 seed, Songs in the Key of Life. And it's going to go out on the town to battle Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band and their infamous Live Bullet album, which holds a 14 seed in this case. I get to speak first on this matter, and it's pretty easy for me in that if this is my favorite album by Stevie Wonder, and it's a double album, so it's all like great and gravy and all that other things, I'm taking Songs in the Key of Life, guys. This was part of the massive run that he had in the 70s, and I think this is the best of those 5 albums that he released in the early to mid 70s, for me by a long shot. But I mean, they were all pretty good. So I got Songs in the Key of Life. So Doc,
well, this can be pretty quick too, man. Yeah, ditto. I got Songs in the Key of Life here as well. I like Seger, man. I like Bob Seger a lot. If it's a different album, would have had a different answer. But the songs is just, this is Motown jazz fusion jam out session. Stevie's clicking, and it's great for the ears, man, if you ask me. So I don't think there's Isn't She Lovely is probably the worst song on the whole thing, man. So yeah. that's my take. So yeah, this is like I said, I love Seger. It's just missing on a couple of the key tunes for me to move the needle to swing it to his neighborhood. So
okay,
going there.
All right, so 2 for Stevie so far. Randy?
Yeah, although Live Bullet does have the Turn the Page hit,
Yeah.
which was off the live album, has great version of Kathmandu and Beautiful Loser.
Yep.
But Songs in the Key of Life have 2 of my favorite Stevie Wonder songs, and I Wish and Sir Duke, and I'm going to have to pick that.
Art Duke's awesome.
Okay, perfect. Rich?
Yeah, I mean, I went against Stevie the first time we did this with Intervisions. I'm not going to do it again. I'm taking Songs in the Key of Life. Although Bob Seger, to me, has always been one of the most underappreciated rock stars of our time. I love this live album, but I'm going with Stevie because he deserves it this time.
Okay. What about you, Sam?
Yeah, I will make it a sweep. I saw Stevie back in the one and only time I've seen Stevie in 2016. He was doing the 40th anniversary tour. I went with a bunch of buddies from college, and it was fantastic. He came out, his daughter Aisha walked him out, who he mentions in Isn't She Lovely. She was singing background in the band at that time, and he gave a little talk, and then he goes right into Love's in Need of Love Today, and you could hear that voice for the first time. And then what's the song? Knocks Me Off My Feet. He used that as audience participation, having the guys sing, I don't want to bore you with it, and then the ladies, oh, but I love you, I love you, I love you. And one of my favorite songs from this period was the song left off of the original album that was on the 45 is the song Ebony Eyes. But yeah, this just it's a great record. It's a grower because even like it's a lot of deep cuts, but it does grow on you. So no question.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna move on here. That was a clean sweep for the number 3 seed. We're gonna move on down to the number 6. Seems like it might be a really nice one too. At the number 6 seed, we have another favorite of mine. This one is from the consummate composer Billy Joel and his super successful The Stranger, and he's going to duel it out with the virtuoso songwriting of Mr. Neil Young and his incredible album After the Gold Rush, which holds an 11 seed. So, Sam, we're back to you again. You get to lead us off on this one here. What's your thoughts?
Well, it's funny. I think by the time this video comes out, Rich and I will have done our next in our series, which is going to be The Stranger, or it was The Stranger, I guess, when this video airs. So I won't give too much away now because it will affect our talk tomorrow when we film. But The Stranger, I mean, it's essentially a greatest hits, from Billy Joel. You have, Moving Out kills it with that hook with, the heart attack, ack. You have the great songwriting on Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. Almost not really proggy, but it's almost like Billy does Elton John a little bit on that song with the piano playing, the way that the piano rolls. She's Always a Woman, beautiful ballad, can get you right here. Fun songs like Only the Good Die Young. I have to go with it. I've never been a solid Neil Young guy. I'm very, very, very hit or miss with Neil Young. Again, I don't depreciate his talent, but for me, this was, again, I'm usually going to vote probably against Neil, but The Stranger for me wins it handily. So
yeah, I'm gonna go with The Stranger too. This is probably my favorite Neil Young album. It definitely has my favorite song by him, and Don't Let It Bring You Down is my favorite Neil Young song. Which is it's just a shame that it's going up against The Stranger, which is just like you said, almost really close to, in my eyes, as being just the greatest hits. Obviously the title track is, just phenomenal guitar work in that too. I really love that. And you're missing a few other songs. It's just a really solid one. Usually, Billy, I always made a comment that he likes to front end load or back end load his albums. He'll put like all of his singles that are going to be released on one side or the other. But in this one here, it's like both sides. Just got all great songs. So it's a Stranger for me as well. So, Doc,
I guess we're gonna put my Canadian boy out of his misery because that's The Stranger for me too, man. So, yeah, I guess Sam, pretty good way to put it, buddy. It's kind of like a greatest hits, man. This starts and doesn't stop. This album. Seeds is probably my second favorite Billy song. The only one missing off the greatest hits would be Piano Man for me, but that's a different story. But yeah, this album is it's not a skip album, man. That's the way I put it. Not to say that After the Gold Rush has many skip parts into it. Southern Man, I love the title track and stuff like that. And I want to give a little bit of a shout out there because it's an easy listen to. After the Gold Rush, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that album. It's a really good album. Stranger's this that much better in my eyes, man. So that's where I'm going.
okay, Randy.
Well, The Stranger is my favorite Billy Joel album, going against my favorite Neil Young album. And this one was no contest, as I'm a much bigger Neil Young fan than I'm a Billy Joel fan. So I'm going to have the dissenting opinion on this one. It's got the title track, Only Love Can Break Your Heart, Tell Me Why, Southern Man.
Yeah.
I just think it's a stronger album, but apparently I'm in the minority.
Rich.
Yeah, I wanted to vote for After the Gold Rush because I like this period of Neil Young, but I like his previous album better. Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere. It's got the harder rock with Cinnamon Girl and Down by the River and things like that. I like that Neil a little bit better than this one, although this is fantastic. I'm going with The Stranger. Those first 7 songs off the Stranger album are just hit city, and they're palatable. It's commercialized music, but so what? That's what Billy Joel does best. He's a pop hit machine, a la Paul McCartney. He can write these things in his sleep. So, period. The Stranger by a fairly close vote, because I do like the Neil Young After the Gold Rush quite a bit.
Right. Okay. Stranger takes it 4-1 then. We're going to move on down to this another interesting matchup. I guess it depends on people's taste. Specifically, in this case, we've got the number 7 seed, which is I consider one of the best debut albums of all time. The eponymous offering from the Cars, basically a greatest hits album, as most people would agree. As they attempt to run over Freddie Mercury and his colleagues from Queen, holding on the number 10 seeded position with A Night at the Opera. Rich, you get to go first in this case.
Well, I'm taking the Cars. That debut album is, I remember when it came out, and I just couldn't get enough of it. Still to this day, I know it's overplayed, but some of the best Cars songs are on here, including My Best Friend's Girl and Just What I Needed. You're All I've Got Tonight, Bye Bye Love, and then that ending here of Moving in Stereo and All Mixed Up. The only dud on here I don't like is Don't You Stop, which ends side 1. Other than that, this is it's probably a 10, but I'm going to give it a 9.5. A Night at the Opera is fine, but I'm not the biggest Queen fan in the world, so I'm going to go with the Cars.
Okay. Sam?
As Rich was talking, I changed my vote. So this is how this bracket has been for me. I just had a conversation with some friends about the Cars and my feelings for the Cars. Rich was actually the one that he sent me that first Cars CD before one of our videos that we did with Aaron Mutha Alamere.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as that album has grown on me, and up until 30 seconds ago, it was my pick. I switched it to Queen because the song "Love of My Life" is absolutely brilliant. I love that track. For me, probably Freddie Mercury's best. Best. I mean, it's a very simple love song, but I love it. I love 30. I love Good Company by Brian May. It's very Paul McCartney-esque. I love that track. I love You're My Best Friend. I know it's poppy and radio friendly, but I think it's great. John Deacon wrote that. Bohemian Rhapsody, again, I could do without it. I know it's brilliant, but it's one of those songs that, it's right there with Hotel California for me, where it can go into a closet for being overplayed, but it has definitely its merit. But yeah, this was tough, but I'm gonna swing over to Night at the Opera.
Okay, one each then. I'm gonna jump on Rich's bandwagon here a little bit, and probably if there was something that moved the needle, if it was closer and I needed something to move the needle, I probably would have just thought of Phoebe Cates, and then I probably would have moved the needle back over to the Cars because of Moving in Stereo. But yeah, just back with greatest hits, and it's wonderful. For some reason, I just never could get into Queen. I always felt like they were a singles band. They weren't really an albums type of band. The closest album that they had that I liked, like most of the tracks, was Jazz, I think. Night of the Opera just felt like it had a little bit too much filler for me, so I had to go with the Cars here. So, Doc?
Yeah, this was tough, man, because I do like my Queen, and I do like that Cars debut. So I was probably between Rich and Brian. I was probably closer to the same neighborhood, and all this kind of went down for me as well. So yeah, like I'm in love with my car, and You're My Best Friend. The Bohemian Rhapsody, as much as it's overplayed, it's still an anthem that's still a monster. And there's a vibe to this album from Queen. It goes like a different, it's almost operatic at sometimes, obviously, and I don't know. It's got everything you'd almost want in an album, because it swings so much on how they actually present it. And the guitar sounds, the bass sounds fantastic in this album too. So, and then you go to the Cars debut. I kind of have the Cars debut kind of like in a different neighborhood. So I think it's missing one song for me to be their greatest hits. Bye Bye Love, I love every song on this one. So I'm more in the 10 neighborhood as far as this goes. I was to do the Queen, I'd probably be in like a high 8s, but the Cars debut, that's where I'm going with this one, man. I don't skip a track here.
Nice.
Okay, Randy?
I'm not one that got tired of Bohemian Rhapsody. I still like it. And Love of My Life is probably Freddie Mercury's best singing, I think, on that. But I'm calling the Cars debut the new wave Rumours because like every
Yeah.
song got played on the radio, and I got to pick the Cars.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I've moved on 4-1 as well. Let's see. We're gonna round out this last matchup here in the East. Features the number 2 and super colossal punk record London Calling from the Clash as they pull no punches in their battle with the sandpaper baritone voice of Tom Waits and his seductive Closing Time album, which snuck in at the number 15 seed. So, Randy, you get to first go at this one here.
Well, most people know that I'm a huge Tom Waits fan. A lot of people pick his debut as their favorite. There's like several others that I like more than that, and if they were there, I would have taken them. But London Calling is the essential punk album, even though they were experimenting with some other genres than like dub and ska and everything. But I just don't think you can get better than London Calling as a double album. You got title track, you got Train in Vain, which wasn't even listed on the album. It was a hidden track, Lost in the Supermarket, Lovers Rock. I could go on. And London Calling is one of the best albums ever for me.
Okay. Rich.
Yeah, this is one that I'm like blasé about both. I like Tom Waits' individual songs better than I do his albums. That's just me. And I think he's a fantastic songwriter. But I'm taking London Calling for. I don't want people to think I hate punk or new wave or whatever you want to call it. It did make its mark. It's got a great opening track, the title track, and then the closing Train in Vain to end the record. So I'm going to go there. It's close, but I'm not married to either one of these albums that much or artists.
All righty. Sam?
Well, I have a big old golden ring on my finger if Rich isn't married.
Nice segue.
Yeah, because I've got to smoke a few packs and have some bourbon to say that Tom Waits for me, hands down, this way and that way, sideways, won for me on this.
Wow.
I do love the Clash's songs like the singles. I love Train in Vain. I love I Fought the Law. I love London Calling. But for me, Closing Time for me is like it's a top 20 for me album of all time. I mean, it really is. All 55 to start it, which obviously the Eagles did. My favorite song on the album, I Hope That I Don't Fall in Love with You. It's a staple for me when I play live, and I always get a nice comment for like the one Tom Waits fan in the room, which is who I play it for. Old Shoes and Picture Postcards is a great acoustic number on the guitar. Martha is just gorgeous. Grapefruit Moon is gorgeous. Rosie. It's just, to me, it's a perfect, with the exception of maybe Lonely. Or Ice Cream Man, but the rest of it to me, I mean, I love this record, and yeah, no brainer. I'm taking the upset.
Okay. This is my favorite Tom Waits album. So, and my favorite song is I Hope I Don't Fall in Love with You. Then Old 55 is great too. But it's going up against London Calling. It's just that matchup thing. If he'd have been like in the middle of the pack somewhere, I would have had him over a couple of these other albums maybe. But I can't move him past London Calling. You guys mentioned some of the other songs. I like Guns of Brixton, and London Calling for sure. And I Fought the Law. You guys mentioned the other stuff. It's just a staple for people that are into punk rock, who even are into reggae, and like Randy said, into ska music, if you like, horns mixed in with your music quite a bit. So I'm gonna go with London Calling here. So, Doc.
Maybe I'll just put Closing Time out of its misery, I guess, in one sense, because I got London Calling here too. So, listen, Closing Time's a vibe. I've never really gotten the whole Time Waits thing. I'm not gonna lie to anybody here. So it's just never connected with me personally. So everyone's got something they like, man. Everyone's got something they don't like. You guys all missed AC/DC. We're gonna blame me for that? I don't think so. But whatever the case. But the London Calling is that. Randy, you have a lot of good things to say about that album. There's a lot to be said. It's really solid about it. The opener and the closer, with notwithstanding. it's also got its own vibe, right? Because it does have that reggae sound. You can hear the draw from the Kinks and different things that you hear in that punk rock era. This is kind of like groundbreaking on a lot of levels, man, and it's moving for a good reason in my eyes. So I'm taking London Calling it.
Okay. All right. Well, that top half, guys, I think all the higher seeds all advanced. I mean, it was close for Bat Out of Hell versus Let It Be, but everybody advanced that was a higher seed.
Wow.
Kind of surprised.
Well, look out.
I thought it would be tougher. You know, I thought
the upsets are coming. I think the upsets are coming on this bracket here.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's kind of jump into that. Doc, you better be ready to go here, buddy, because you're going to have to first say here. So onward to the South bracket. It's the number 1 seeded and number 3 seeded overall. The boss, Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run, a thunderous album to be sure. Excuse the pun. And he's going against another rock album from Heart and their classic album, Dreamboat Annie, who only got a 16th seed here, guys. Maybe the strongest 16th seed in the field. Doc, what do you got to say?
Yeah, Dreamboat Annie is a great debut, eh? So it's from Magic Man and Crazy on You and the sounds of the Wilson sisters here. It's this was new. This was different, man. You didn't have this, right? So this is the way it sounded. This is a girl rock band kind of thing, like coming at you like this, doing this. Really awesome. Sorry, Dreamboat Annie, you went up against Born to Run. I don't know what to tell you. So it's we talked about openers and closers and stuff like this. You start with Thunder and you end up with Jungle. I got nothing in between there, man. There's no filler on this album, man. This is one of the albums that kind of saved rock in a lot of sense in the 70s, man. So this was easy for me, man. This is Born to Run. Easy. Hope it goes on for a while.
Okay. Randy?
Yeah, I think Dreamboat Annie is probably the best Heart album, but Born to Run is one of my all-time favorite albums. Like you said, one of the best opening and closing tracks, like Who's Next, ranks up there with them. It has that wall of sound combined with kind of a Roy Orbison feel. That's what Bruce was going for, and it just works out perfectly. Born to Run is my pick.
Rich, do I have to ask? I mean, we're going to let you, I don't know.
I'll say 2 words, the boss. Move on. But I like Heart and I like Dreamboat Annie, but I can't vote for it over Born to Run. Not happening.
It's a shocker, Rich.
Right.
I know, we're all stunned.
They're predictable.
Yeah.
Very
Sam,
much so.
what do you think, buddy?
I gained a lot of respect for Ann Wilson's voice, especially when they did the Kennedy Center honors for Zeppelin. I mean, that was a huge thing. It went viral a few years back. To make Robert Plant cry singing the song that he hates is pretty remarkable. Magic Man's a great tune. And again, one of those early rock and roll songs that I heard on the radio, Crazy on You. But yeah, I mean, Bruce just, he kicks it into high gear. I mean, this album is full on. This is a dude's album, like this is an album that guys want to hear. It's the full horns, the ringing guitars, like you said, the Phil Spector sound is a great analogy. That last line of, tonight in jungle, it's so good. Born to Run was, again, that was an early earworm for me as a kid. I listened to that song a lot as, again, 14-year-old me. So 10th Avenue Freeze Out, fantastic, biographical tune about the E Street Band. So yeah, I'm going to make Rich proud. So I wanted to pick Bruce Springsteen.
Way to go, Sam.
and yeah, okay. For me, I'll round it out here. In 1988, I got to see Heart in concert. That's when they were making really poppy stuff then, or they were doing covers as well. And even then, seeing them live, there's just absolutely no way. I'd have to be totally out of my mind to pick up against Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run. There's not a weak track on Born to Run. That's the problem. I mean, you'd be hard pressed. I mean, maybe 3 of my top 5 favorite Bruce Springsteen songs are on this album. So I mean, it just have to move it on. So it's Born to Run. That's a 5-0, guys. We're moving on for sure. Let's get that 8-9 matchup going here, though, which I have a feeling this is going to be real fun. Okay, so sliding down the next bracket, we got a very strong 8 versus 9. The former features the Nick's Buckingham Fleetwood Mac self-titled, which became a trademark sound of the band going forward. as it has a very tough matchup versus a near perfect debut from Boston, maybe one of the best produced rock albums in the 70s. Great. I get to go first here. That's just lovely. Absolutely lovely. I love Fleetwood Mac. Obviously, if this was Rumors, it wouldn't even be close. This one's closer because I feel like that self-titled Fleetwood Mac does have songs that I don't necessarily care for, and I like every song on Boston's debut album. Now, did he do as well on subsequent albums? He got progressively worse. He decided that he was going to keep making albums, but we're talking about the debut album and the debut album only. There's no way you can argue with how well this album sounds and it's produced and how well it holds up after all these years. So Boston it is for me. Doc.
Yeah, I thought it was next. Okay, so yeah, Fleetwood Mac. Fleetwood Mac again making an appearance here, right? Rihanna. Did Save Love Me, Landslide. Some great songs on this album, man. There's not one bad song on that Boston album, man. I don't know what everybody says. That's a playthrough for me. Foreplay, Long Time, Peace of Mind. More Than a Feeling was a monster, and it's sure it was overplayed. That song's awesome, man. I don't care what anybody says. It's so well produced. The album's produced. You're right. I would say something about maybe skipping me. Two's got some pretty good. Album number 2, Brian, I'd say is okay. At 3, gets crapped on a little too much. I don't mind Boston Third Stage actually, but going back to the Boston debut, this is a no-brainer for me. Yeah, I'm in that 10 neighborhood as far as albums go, man. This is a monster for me.
Okay, Randy.
Yeah, the first Buckingham Nicks album for Fleetwood Mac has some great songs on here, but just like I said, the Cars were the new wave Rumours. I think this Boston album is the classic rock Rumours. Like every song got played on the radio. I know some people may get tired of some of the songs, but it's hard to argue with how great that album is, and I'm gonna have to pick the Boston one too.
Okay, Rich.
Yeah, this is a painful one for me because I really like that Fleetwood Mac self-titled. The addition of Buckingham and Nicks really cemented their greatness, I think. I like the opening track, Monday Morning, and Blue Letters, a good cover, and Over My Head, Rihanna, and Say You Love Me, Landslide, I'm So Afraid. They're all great songs. But running into a buzzsaw here, Boston's got 8 classics wall to wall on that album. That's one of the greatest debuts of all time. So I'm taking Boston in a semi squeaker.
All right.
Because I like the Fleetwood Mac debut. I know it's not Rumors, but it's damn close for me.
Sam?
Well, I'll make note. First of all, this is our first upset, even though it's a 9-8 upset. So I'll mention that. Again, looking at it, it was tough for me too because again, the Boston record was all over. Again, for me, I'm thinking about me growing up listening to music. Obviously, More Than a Feeling, Peace of Mind, Rock and Roll. That was all stuff I heard foreplay. But when I get down to it, I'm going to go with Fleetwood Mac. I do like the production on the Boston album, and probably song for song, it probably is a stronger album. But for me, the songs Rhiannon and Over My Head to me are better than any song on the Boston album, and even those two alone would beat the Boston album for me. And obviously, you have Say You Love Me, Landslide, Monday Morning. I mean, I like that, and I can't help. That's where I lean. So I'm going to be the lone wolf yet again, but this is my 3rd time tonight. So
wow,
that's all right. You stick to your guns, though. That's what you got to do.
That's a good vote because it's pretty close.
Yeah.
All right, let's slide down here to the number 4 seed. We're going to be featuring Bob Dylan's landmark "Blood on the Tracks," a solid record. That broke Stevie Wonder's stranglehold on the Grammys. We've mentioned that before. Bob is going to be matched up against the debut album from our punk rockers across the pond, The Clash's Clash has a 13 seed. Sam, you get the first go on this one.
I do indeed. kind of like y'all were joking with Rich about Bruce. You can joke with me about this album. Blood on the Tracks is my third favorite album of all time. So it's going to be very hard going down the line from this point onward for me to really have anything beat Blood on the Tracks. Unless it doesn't make it, in which case then I guess I'll cry for a little bit. But I love Blood on the Tracks. I absolutely love the whole feel of it. I love the subject matter. It was, Dylan's divorce album. That's what they call it. Even his son Jacob from the Wallflower says when he listens to that album, he hears his mom and dad in that album. I love Lily Rosemary and Jack of Hearts for the deeper cuts. I love Buckets of Rain. You're Gonna Make Me Lonesome with You When You Go is one of like the upbeat kind of positive songs, even though it's subject matter not necessarily. Simple Twist of Fate, Tangled Up in Blue. To me, it's perfection. It is one of those few, and I know y'all just did a video. It's one of those few 10 out of 10 albums for me. It's a 10 out of 10, and there's absolutely nothing you can say to convince me otherwise. So, Blood on the Tracks. Again, the Clash are great, but yeah, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on this one, Sam. Blood on the Tracks. I mean, it's probably my third favorite Dylan album of all time. Obviously it's not just a Grammy thing, but also the fact that it actually, and a lot of the lists that I looked at when I just looked at Bob Dylan's rankings for his albums, Blood on the Tracks got almost as many votes, on those as Blonde on Blonde or Highway 61. Is all that comes down to those tastes. So I mean, you already mentioned it, but I love Shelter from the Storm. I love Meet Me in the Morning. Has that standard blues sound with that steel pedal guitar. I just think it's got such a sweet sound to it. I like this album a lot. I'm going to vote for Blood on the Tracks as well. So, Doc?
Guess I'm putting the Clash out of their misery, man. So, yeah, I don't mind the Clash, man. Don't get me wrong, that's fine. But this is a different neighborhood. This self-reflective album that Dylan does here, it's the ultimate in poetry in one sense, man. The way this gets put together and stuff, and yeah, Shelter from the Storm. That's probably my favorite tune on the whole thing, man. I love that song. So, I looked at this album yesterday. I was at my parents' house, so I saw it there. So I was like, the gods were looking down on me for this one, man. But yeah, this would be good. I've had Bob Dylan in my life, my whole life. So, yeah, this was pretty easy, man. Blood on the Tracks.
Okay, Randy.
Yeah, Blood on the Tracks is Bob Dylan's breakup album, and it's perfection. And I can't believe I absolutely agree with Sam, because I don't know if you can see that or not.
Wow, third.
It's my third favorite album of all time.
Look at that, Randy.
Wow.
Nice.
Exactly there. But yeah, I do like the Clash debut. I actually, for punk purists, I think they like maybe that one more than some of the later ones. I like the later ones actually for the Clash better. But love White Riot. Their Police and Thieves Junior Mervyn cover is pretty cool. But yeah, Blood on the Tracks, hard to beat that.
Yeah. Rich?
Yeah, I'm sweeping here. Blood on the Tracks. 3 of the songs on here are among Dylan's 10 best for me. I mean, Tangled Up in Blue, Simple Twist of Fate, and Shelter from the Storm. I love all 3 of those songs. Beautifully written and performed. So that's an easy one.
All right. Well, all right, let's move on. We're moving down to that 5-12 matchup. We had an upset from the 5-12 in our last video, so this one's going to have maybe the most trouble personally. I mean, this might be a really tough one for me. It's pitting Tom Petty's Damn the Torpedoes against another solid offering from Mick Jagger and the boys, who might want to get some redemption here. Their acclaimed album, and number 12 seeded Sticky Fingers at a 12 seed here. So, Rich, you got first crack here.
Thank you very much. Sticky Fingers, man. That's my favorite Stones album. But Damn the Torpedoes is my favorite Tom Petty album. So where do you think I'm going? I'm going with Mr. Petty and the Heartbreakers in a close battle. I feel bad for Sticky Fingers, and I feel bad for the Rolling Stones because they're getting some tough matchups in the draws here. But how do you beat Refugee, Here Comes My Girl, even the loser, Shadow of a Doubt? Don't Do Me Like That and Louisiana Rain. Those are the highlights for me of the album, and that's taking it. So I have to go with my heart.
Okay, Sam.
This was one of those matchups that I left blank until we first started, just before we started filming. It's my favorite Stones album too. It's my favorite Stones song, Moonlight Mile. And the thing about Damn the Torpedoes is that, and I've talked about this in videos, is that so many of those songs I first heard on the greatest hits, because I mean, Refugee, Here Comes My Girl, Don't Do Me Like That, were all on the greatest hits, even the losers. And the deep cuts are fantastic. Louisiana Rain, what a closer with that, again, that kind of country sounding guitar.
Yeah.
What Are You Doing in My Life is great. Shadow of a Doubt. I just listened to this album late last week, just on a whim. This was really hard. I love Dead Flowers. It still hurts me to say which way I'm going to go, but with a coin flip, it was Damn the Torpedoes for me. But it really hurts because this is not in my top 3. I don't even know if it's in my top 4 or 5 favorite Petty albums.
Wow.
Just because, again, like I'll learn the sequence of the songs in a different way than hearing the record. But it was hard to me. I mean, even the losers is a top Petty song for me. So, Damn the Torpedoes.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, we're sitting here and I'm like, if we were talking about some Stones albums in the '60s, I wouldn't even hesitate, because I'm just a big fan of, Aftermath and Let It Bleed and the early Stones stuff for sure. I mean, I'm just a huge fan of that blues rock sound. For some reason, I just never could get aboard with Sticky Fingers at all. I do like songs off of there, but not the album as a whole. I just never got into it. My favorite '70s album from them, believe it or not, is Some Girls. So if I have to pick, I'm going to have to go with Damn the Torpedoes as well. I mean, it's like maybe my second favorite after Southern Accents Tom Petty album. So I gotta go with that. I know that it may be an unpopular opinion for some. So, Doc.
So it doesn't matter what I pick, though, does
it? Not really.
So this is one that I have left blank. So this is one that I had to decide. I was going to decide when I got here. So,
Doc, we're giving away your address no matter what. You're not giving.
You guys go to town. It's like you guys, man. This is like pulling teeth, man. I the coin's in the air. I do want to give the Stones some love, so I'll go Sticky Fingers.
Okay.
So
there you go.
I could put either one of these albums on any time. And you're right, Brian. I'll say it's my second favorite as well, because Southern Accent's my favorite as well.
Right. Wow. Awesome. Randy?
Well, this is the first album with Mick Taylor, who had become the guitarist for the Stones and be on all those great '70s albums. Sticky Fingers is actually my third favorite Stones album, but after Exile made an exit, I was thinking about putting this one in, and all I could think about when I was looking at this matchup is, man, Don't Do Me Like That. And Damn the Torpedoes is my favorite Tom Petty album. It's the first one I bought. It's the one that got me into Tom Petty, and even though, like I said, I love Sticky Fingers, it's my third favorite Stone. So I would go with Damn the Torpedoes as well.
Okay.
That hurt. That really
I'm
hurt.
sure that the fans out there did appreciate that one of us gave it some love. Doc, you stayed off the firing line for a little while.
Look at that. You guys owe me.
All right. I'm looking forward to this next one here. This is at 3 versus 14. It's next up on this bottom half of the South bracket. And it has really, I think, the best overall album, 1972, in my opinion, anyway. I got number 3 seeded Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars from our boy David Bowie, as he attempts to hold off yet another Rolling Stones gem, Some Girls, a ladder classic from the band, holding on to just a 14 seed here. Let's see who spoke last. Was it Randy? Randy, you got to go first this time.
Well, Some Girls is actually a little down on my list as far as my favorite Rolling Stones albums. Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust is probably my third favorite Bowie album, although it has some great tunes. Starman, 5 Years, maybe one of his most personal songs. the Rockers, Suffragette City. It's just stocked full of songs that are really fantastic. But so I'm going to have to give it to David Bowie on this one.
Okay. All right, Rich.
Yeah, same here. I feel bad for the Stones because I don't think they're going to have anything left after this. But I love the opening track, 5 Years. It's my favorite Bowie song. And then you got Starman, Ziggy, Suffragette City, Rock and Roll Suicide, Moon Age, Daydream. I mean, come on. Ziggy and a Cakewalk.
All right. Sam?
I like a different flavor of cake. So I am gonna give Randy a little love here because we've hurt his feelings a little bit. I'm gonna go with some girls. And actually, this is, to me, it's a landslide pick.
Wow.
I am not a big Bowie fan. This is actually the only Bowie album that I own is Ziggy Stardust, and the only reason I own that album is because Tom Petty talked about it on Sirius XM on his Buried Treasure show. He was playing a cut from it. I think it was It Ain't Easy. And he said, that's a great record. And so, like, sure, Petty likes it. And I like it. I don't go back to it. But I love the song Miss You. I love the funkiness about it. I love their version of Just My Imagination. I love Beast of Burden. I love Faraway Eyes, even though some people hate it. I love it.
Love it.
The phony country accent. Before I like Shattered. That's a great tune. I remember listening to this on vinyl before I even got into vinyl with my cousin in his basement while we played ping pong. It was one of his parents' records, and he put it on the turntable, and we'd listen to Some Girls a lot. So, yeah, to me, no brainer. I'm probably going to vote against Bowie 99% of the time.
All right. So I'm going to say that if you'd have asked me this question maybe 6 years ago, I would have said Some Girls, and it would have been pretty easy for me to say that. But then Doc made me listen to Ziggy Stardust and reevaluate the album. And now it's a 10 for me. I just did that video with Rich, and I gave it's one of my albums that I gave a 10.
Yeah.
10. The entire second side to me is just absolute fire. Suffragette City, favorite song by Bowie for sure. Just a great album. I mean, it's just a classic album. I'm gonna have to give it the love that it deserves. So, Doc, you got the final word here, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So I made you listen to it, eh?
You
Brian,
did.
so what do you think I'm thinking?
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, Some Girls is fine. Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, Miss You is good. Beast of Burden is good. Shattered, I like too. Just sound like it's a great album. Faraway Eyes, yeah, it's got that twangy country stuff, man. It's still good. It's a good album. Ziggy is a classic album. This is once again the opener, the closers. Here you go with 5 Years and Rock and Roll Suicide, and all killer, no filler, man. That's the way I see it. I think this is a masterpiece from Bowie. Everything's got an acquired taste at one level or another, but this one just clicks on all levels for me, man. Ziggy's going to go pretty far, I hope. So that's where I'm hoping.
Okay. All right, we're going to move on then. We're going to get to that 6-11, which we got to expect this one maybe to be a little closer. This one just feels like it's two different ends of the spectrum here. So here we are, number 6 seed, finally given to some love to our girl Joni Mitchell with her absolutely spaciously somber album Blue. Just absolute bar for songwriting. And we're going to throw her up against the debut album from our boy Elvis Costello, or Declan, whatever you want to call him, and his number 11 seeded My Aim Is True. Doc, you get to lead us off for this particular vote. What do you got?
No, this wasn't close. Not for me, man. I'll tell you that right now. So Elvis Costello is an acquired thing. I don't mind bits and pieces of Elvis Costello. I can really take him in short stints. That's the truth. That's me. He's got that. He's got a lot of different vibes going. He's got a 55 going. He's got a 65 going. He's got a 70s. He's got an 80s, all at the same time. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. It depends on what you're in the mood for. Blue is kind of like in the Blood on the Tracks kind of neighborhood for me, man. Just a woman's album in a lot of levels, man. This is poetic. This is just a beautiful album, and like I said, not close, man. This is top tier stuff from Joni Mitchell. That's poetic, majestic, frame songwriting, man. That's it.
Okay, Randy, you agree?
Well, although I think that Blue is Joni's best album, Carrie, Case of You, River, just so many classics on there. But my favorite artist of the 80s was indeed probably Elvis Costello. And I thought his debut album was a classic, My Aim is True, with Allison. It's got probably maybe my favorite Elvis song, and the Angels Want to Wear My Red Shoes, Mystery Dance. And on the US version, you got Watching the Detectives. I think in the UK, it's not on there. But even though I like both the artists, I'm going to have to go with Elvis.
Okay. All right. 1 for 1 split there. Rich, what do you think?
This was really hard for me because I love My Aim is True as a debut album. Fantastic, but it's going to get beat here for me. I got to go with Blue. I think it's a masterpiece. The lyrics just resonate. They're very personal, real life, about relationships and where she was at that time in her life. And I buy into that stuff. So I'm taking Blue in a narrow one. I love everything on My Aim is True, but it's just a little bit overshadowed by Blue here. I think even Elvis Costello would vote for Blue. How's that?
Yeah. All right. Sam?
To me, this is the Doors versus Patti Smith to me. Except I like Elvis Costello more than I like the Doors.
Yeah.
I am not a Joni guy at all. I can't do it. I know Rich has been trying to get me to do Blue on our series. I've kind of shrugged my shoulders a bit. I'm not a Joni Mitchell fan, which is crazy because she's right there. I mean, she was hanging out with, CSN, and she was hanging out with Dylan, and the guys and the Birds, and she was right there with the Laurel Canyon, Mamas and the Papas, all stuff that I love. But to me, I can't do. People talk about Dylan and his voice. I can't do Joni and her voice. It's one of those things I'll probably get slandered for it, but I do actually like Elvis Costello quite a bit, and I do like this album. I love his short songs, punky songs, the energy that he puts across on his recordings. So I'm going to go with My Name Is True.
You guys are really putting me in this spot, right? This is where's Anton Segura when you need him? Call it. Oh man, I know this is so close, but guys, I'm like Randy. I love Elvis Costello. I mean, I didn't start listening to him, unfortunately, until like maybe Get Happy or Punch the Clock. I mean, that's when I first heard him. So then I end up having to backtrack and then just kind of keep up with the stuff as it goes. I'm gonna have to go with Elvis Costello on this one. I just feel like I call him the clown prince of proto punk. It just has that great vibe to me, when he's great stage presence and everything. And I'm gonna go ahead and give My Aim Is True and have the upset here. This is like
good battle.
The big upset from the bottom half. I mean, sorry, Joni. Put your music on Spotify next time. No, I'm just kidding.
Nice shot. I like it.
Ooh. All right, let's move on and get down to the number 7 seed here. This is another really close one here. I've got the debut record from a band that we've already heard from, but this record sounded much different, but still a classic. Steely Dan's Can't Buy a Thrill, and they're going to have to do some serious dirty work if they want to conquer the number 10 seed from Led Zeppelin 3. And I get to go first here. To me, since I'm going to have already enough hate going my way for the last vote, I'm going to just get this one completely out of the way as fast as possible and say I'm going with Steely Dan's Can't Buy a Thrill. And thank you to Rich for turning me on to this band. I love the sound of this record. Obviously I already made the pun about dirty work. I just think it's just a great sound, even though that they changed their whole dynamic, after this album, dumped the lead singer and kind of just, progressed with the way they wanted to do things. I think this is still a great sounding record. One of my favorite records of all time. So Can't Buy a Thrill. Doc.
Yeah, this was tough, man. This was a really tough one, actually. So this again, right? So I guess there's a vibe for each one, and that's this is 3, right? So like there's a lot of good songs to pick off of each of them. I just think for the whole flow of an album, I'm kind of on your page here, Brian. I'm going for Steely Dan here.
Wow.
Get by a Thrill. That's where I got to go. It's just a better listen for me all the way through. There's great hits on both, man, but this.
Right. All right, Randy.
Yeah, I like both of these albums. I like David Palmer's singing on Dirty Work, and he did another song on there too, but I don't know whatever happened to him. But love Do It Again, Reeling in the Years. But Led Zeppelin 3 is kind of known as their acoustic album. That's the Way has always been one of my favorite Led Zeppelin albums. I mean, Led Zeppelin songs for some reason. Immigrant Song, Since I've Been Loving You. And I just got to give it to Led Zeppelin 3 out of these two.
Rich?
Yeah, I mean, Led Zeppelin 3 is not anywhere near my favorite of theirs. It's probably sixth in the pecking order of their albums. And I'm a Steely Dan guy. I'm taking Can't Buy a Thrill, that deadly duo leading off the album of Do It Again and Dirty Work is awesome. I like Midnight Cruiser, Reeling in the Years. Only a Fool would say that. It's got a lot of strong songs on it. And that's where I'm headed with this. Can't Buy a Thrill, Edges, Led Zepp 3.
Okay. Awesome. And finally, Sam?
I know we talked about, Asia, whatever you want to call it, last video. And again, I kind of made my opinions known as I often do. I'm not a big Steely Dan guy. This one I can take a little bit more, just because again it was more radio friendly with the hits. But for me, Led Zeppelin 3, again, kind of like Rich said, it's not in my top Zeppelin albums either, especially the much criticized Hats Off to Roy Harper. To me it grates into my ear. But I do love the rest of the album. Tangerine, Gallows Pole, Immigrant Song, Celebration Day. I love all that stuff. So yeah, it was easy for me, Zeppelin 3.
Okay. All right, so we're going to move on down to the last of the Southern region. And this actually, despite the disparaging between a number 2 and 15 seed, this one might be a lot closer than we might think. I don't know. Finally, from the South, I got Pink Floyd's Shining Wish You Were Here album, just iconic and pristine in every way. Gilmore and Waters could just actually put aside their differences and do battle with Elton John's double classic album, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, who slid in here at the number 15 seed. So, Sam, you get the first say in this our final matchup tonight.
Well, it's kind of fitting. We started this first round of brackets with a Dark Side as our first pick, and our last pick involves Wish You Were Here. This was an album that I came into later, being Wish You Were Here. And I really, really probably in the last couple of years listening to it. I mean, obviously I knew the title track. Again, as an early acoustic guitar player, learning that opening riff with a buddy of mine, playing the slide part, the counter melody. That was just a classic thing to do. Shine On You Crazy Diamond, there's this whole wraparound, obviously the Syd Barrett connection thing. But then you have Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, and that to me is just near perfection. That's my pick. The opening track of Love Lies Bleeding is just killer. I think it's just a perfect album opener, one of the best album openers of all time. I love this, I love the stuff like this song has no title, Gray Seal, Jamaican Jerk Off, like the deep cuts are kind of goofy. Roy Rogers, I love that track, but also, Candle in the Wind is on here. The title track is on here. Your Sister Can't Twist, but She Can Rock and Roll. All the Young Girls Love Alice. All that stuff is just stuff that I can eat up and listen to it. I love it more and more every time I hear it. But Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding, to me, beats almost half the albums on this list so far. Just how strong that opener is. So I'm going to go with Elton.
All right. I am going to just say, before I just say it out there, is that Wish You Were Here is like my 4th favorite album of all time. So not many tracks to talk about. I mean, more than 2/3 of the tracks are Shine On You Crazy Diamond and Have a Cigar. And then obviously the title track is my 2nd favorite song of all time. So it's pretty obvious that Wish You Were Here is going to be my vote. So, Doc?
Yeah, I'm a big Elton guy and I'm a big Floyd guy. So this was interesting to say the least, I guess would probably be the right way to put it. But yeah, the Goodbye is, you know, the title track, and, you know, like you said, the opener there, Sam, is pretty serious, man. For Goodbye, man, it's incredible. And I like a lot of Elton John. Some things I just, you know, Benny and the Jets, you know, so like, it's never the one that really stuck with me. I don't like that. Jamaican Jerk Off. No, that's a pass. Sorry, buddy, but that's me. Wish You Were Here. Yeah, with the 9 parts of the Shine On. You got Wish You Were Here, Welcome to the Machine, and Have a Cigar. Yeah, this is. Yeah, I hope we're saying this one for a while, man. Wish You Were Here is where I'm going easy.
Okay, Randy.
I do love Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. It's got so many great songs of Elton's, but I do think there is some filler on there. And this might be blasphemous, but I think Wish You Were Here is the best Pink Floyd album over another one that we have had on this. Love the title track, Have a Cigar. Both those 2 songs are probably maybe my 2 favorite Pink Floyd songs. And so I'm going to go Wish You Were Here.
Oh, wow. Rich, final word.
Well, I'm backing a loser. I'm going with Goodbye Yellow Brick Road here. It's more my style. What I would, if I had to pick one to put on, you know, I have 45 minutes to an hour to live. I'd rather listen to Goodbye Yellow Brick Road than Wish You Were Here. That's just me. The songs mean more to me. Although Wish You Were Here, the title track, is among the best songs I've ever heard in my life. But the rest of the album with the long and meandering stuff is just not me. I appreciate the engineering and musicianship and the arrangements and stuff. But Elton, I can't leave him out here. I know he's not going to advance, but I'm giving him my vote. Elton John's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, an absolute masterwork for me.
Well, he put up a fight. I mean, 3-2 in a 2 versus 15 matchup. I mean, doesn't get any better than that. So
no,
that's gonna be interesting going forward here, whether some of these guys can hold their ground, and if they're kind of shaky right off the bat there. Really the big, but we had only two overall upsets. Boston, which was a 9, you know, versus 8, obviously, but Aim Is True was the big upset for this whole bracket. A number 11 beating a number 6 here at a 3-2 margin as well. So,
and the Beatles and the Stones are both out of the tournament, as far as I know. I think.
Yeah, I mean, basically the 2 hottest hitters and the heaviest hitters in the 60s are out in the 70s already. So,
yeah.
Anyway, you know, Stones can look forward to Tattoo You and
80s
Steel Wheels. Anyway. I want to thank all you guys for joining me for the second half of this video. I really do appreciate you guys being here. Doc, Sam, Randy, Rich, definitely do it. Please, everyone, please leave your comments down below. Give us who you picked them to advance through. You know, if you ever want to list some of your albums that you feel like we left off, please do. I mean, it's not perfect system, obviously, but we do the best that we can. Check out our other video, the one that covered the West and Midwest as well, and other videos that'll be on my channel as well. Check out Rich's channel, Sam's channel, Randy's channel. I'll put links to all that down below, and we'll catch you in the round of 32 very soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
It's almost the